Friends, what's going on? It's your boy, James Robilotta here. Welcome to the first ever episode of Diner Talks with James. I'm so excited to have you here, friends. How you doing today? Listen, let me know. Where are you chiming in from right now? Where are you at? Where are you watching this from? Are you on your couch? Are you in Sonoma, Washington? Where are you? Let me know where you're from around the globe. Throw it in the comments. Let me know. And if you can hear me okay, if you could do me a favor and just smack that like button or that wow face or whatever, the heart, just so I know that you all can hear me okay. I appreciate it, y'all. I appreciate it. I love it. Ella coming in from Hollywood, Florida. My friends, I'm so excited that you are here today and kicking it with me. First ever episode. We got my buddy Sam Davidson coming up in just a minute. But first, we're going to start this episode out with, how do they do it? You got to tap it a couple times. Okay, here we go. We're going to start every episode out with something that you all want to hear me talk about. So tonight, we're doing the top three. Cue some kind of musical thing. This has been polled by you on my Facebook fan page, James Robilotta, speaker, author, host. And so I asked on that page, what are some things that you want to hear my top three of? So let's jump in right now. Here we go. First off, top three travel destinations in the United States. Number one, the Pacific Northwest. Listen, Portland, let's hang out. The Pacific, I'm telling you, there's more shades of green in the state of Oregon than I've seen anywhere else in my life. I absolutely love it out there, and it is stunning. There's seals that just gather on rocks, and they have this place called Pine State Biscuits that make you want to slap every member of your family. They're banging. Next, Charleston, South Carolina. Listen, here's the key to finding a great restaurant in Charleston, South Carolina. If it looks like it's falling over and it smells amazing from 3 blocks away, you better get in there because grandma's still cooking those recipes that made her famous. Next, the coast of Maine. Listen, let me talk to you about the coast of Maine really quick. There's nothing more beautiful than the coast of Maine. They got lobsters coming out. They're just coming out of the rocks. They're waving at you out there, right? It's absolutely beautiful. And Bahab is lovely. All right, it's lovely. But there's other beautiful parts of Maine as well. I'm telling you, I'm a man who likes the coast. I guess that's why I'm a Cancer. Next, Girl Scout cookies. Highly debated topic in a number of ways. First off, what's your favorite Girl Scout cookie? Throw it in these comments. Let me hear what you got to say. Best Girl Scout cookie ever. Feel free to @ me, bro, is the tag along. And don't come here with no peanut butter patty language, okay? They're called tag alongs and they're attractive. Next, Samoas. For the caramel lover in all of us. Not the caramel delight, friends. They're called Samoas, okay? Next and last, Thin Mints after being in the freezer. Thin Mints after being in the freezer. If your favorite cookie, Girl Scout cookie, is the lemonade, then I need you to sign off of this podcast right now. It's not even a podcast, but I still need you to sign off. Frozen mint chip, Dan Fail in the building. Jump for joy. Last but not least, sports teams. Easy. All three. The New York Yankees. Okay, first off, watch your mouth. Second off, watch your mouth. Third off, look at me. Don't look at me. The New York Yankees are the greatest sports team in all history. Ask me what my favorite number is. Go ahead, ask me. It's 27. Anyway, friends, close second behind the New York Yankees, the Clemson Tigers, and of course, the UNCW Seahawks. You've never heard of them. We made this tournament a number of years ago, and it was really special, and now we're not as good. But anyway, those are your top three lists tonight, friends. Thank you so much. If you want to participate in what I talk about at the top of the show next week, make sure you get onto that Facebook page and do me a favor, like it, subscribe to it, whatever the terminology is, and then answer the question that I post at the beginning of next week. But let's jump in to the guest. I started this idea because I believe the best conversations we have in life all occur after the hour of 11 o'clock over milkshakes. At diners, at Denny's, at IHOPs, at Waffle House. Waffle House doesn't even have milkshakes, but they got things that are smothered, covered, and chunked. And so shout out to that, right? Your In-N-Out burgers, your late night food runs. I think the best conversations that we have in our lives occur during those times because we're with people that we love. And so that's why I invited today a man that I absolutely love. His name is Sam Davidson. He's an incredible individual. He and I met on the speaker circuit a number of years ago, and we became fast friends, and we've been through a lot of stuff in our lives together, both been in each other's weddings, neither in our first weddings, but both in our second. We'll get to that in a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, put your golf clap hands together for Sam Davidson, my man.
Hey, what's up, brother? Thanks for having me.
What's up, brother? Good to see you today. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right. It's been not too shabby a day. What about you?
You know, I'm doing well, man. Just went for a walk with the in-laws. I'm feeling lighter and refreshed.
Great. Yeah, walking's good. Are you doing a lot of walking right now in this amidst this pandemic?
Yeah, no, this pandemic's a hot mess. We go for a walk every single day. It's an hour of intentional time that we spend together, and it's powerful because otherwise we're just kind of sitting on our computers, putzing around. Sure. And we sometimes like forget to talk, or if we do, It's like, can I just get a quick opinion?
But isn't it something about this that, and I think people are starting to write or at least talk about this, is that there are habits, disciplines that people have undertaken that I think deep down they're like, I don't want this to stop. Whenever normal returns, whatever that looks like. And I think walking is one of those things where people are like, why didn't we do this before? And can we keep doing this afterward? And I hope so. I don't see why not.
It'll be crazy to see what sticks through this time. Like I don't know about you, but I had never been with my family on a Zoom call before. That technology most certainly existed, sure. Yeah. But we had never done it before.
And you're going to do it again?
I mean, for at least a few times during this thing, and then I wonder if it'll continue afterwards. My parents are snowbirds down in Florida, and we're in Minneapolis. My brothers and their families are on Long Island, so it's a quick way to get us all together. And there's just something powerful about seeing each other's faces.
I think there is, and I think that Zoom is one of those things. I think there are things that people are doing. They're like, I want this to continue after all this, and there are things that people are like, good God, I do not want this to do again. And unfortunately, Zoom is one of those for me. Not because it can't be a powerful thing to connect with family, et cetera, but I've been on too many Zoom calls that could have been a phone call. It's sort of the whole, joke like, hey, this meeting could have been an email. I think there's a lot of people who are like, the Zoom call could have been an email or nothing, or this would have been a call. Like back when we could freely associate, like this would have been a phone call or a text message. But why do we have to set a time to do a Zoom call? So that's one of my least favorite things. But anyway, and I know that's not why you invited me to the diner tonight.
Well, no, it's interesting, Sam, because the only way I could get in touch with you is if I actually scheduled a live broadcast part of the show, and then you're like, all right, fine, we can catch up. So
that was true before the pandemic as well, though. If you're on my calendar, I can commit to it, which is unfortunate, I'll admit. That is something I could, I guess, get better at. But at the same time, if I schedule it, then I prioritize it. I think that's true of anything, of meetings. And so I'm the guy who puts in his Google Calendar, like drive to work or drive to airport, at airport, when my flight takes off, drive to hotel. Yeah, it's all, because that's when I know I can schedule a call or when I won't be doing anything else.
Yeah. Here's another fun fact about you, Sam Davidson, I'd like to out you on, is that you use the dresser drawers in hotels.
100%. 100%. No, I absolutely use them when staying more than one night. Absolutely. I unpack the suitcase full as soon as I get in the hotel room. It doesn't matter like if I'm pressed for time, unpack the suitcase entirely, put the suitcase in the closet, unpack my toiletry kit 100%. I'm moving in. If I'm only staying one night, that's not always the case, but I refuse to move shorts out of the way to get to socks for 4 days straight. So yes, the drawers are there for a reason. I'm a big believer in that.
That's going to go on your tombstone. I refuse to move shorts out of the ways.
That's right.
Socks.
No, it's
I don't
too
got
much
time for this.
I'm not going to do it. No.
You didn't put it in your calendar.
Nope. That's right. Unpack 4 minutes.
What are you drinking tonight, buddy? What's your pour tonight?
We have just a little Maker's Mark is what we've got tonight. So something simple. Yeah, neat.
Something simple, something classic. I'm into it. Does anybody else use, I'm curious, put it in the chat, if you use the dresser drawers in hotel rooms, if you're there for more than one night. If you use them and you're only there for one night.
You'll use hangers, won't you?
Excuse me?
You'll use hangers and an ironing board.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm a big ironer. It's one of the few household things that I love to do is iron. And I don't know what it is, but there's just something satisfying about it to me.
That's great. That's great.
That's great. Sam, you've had a hell of a year. Thank you, Nicole. Never. I appreciate you. At least we got
Elizabeth's
some
on my
people.
side, dude.
Oh,
Elizabeth is,
okay.
and Susan, keep going. Oh, Alex, yes, please keep going.
Oh,
We
yeah,
got
the
Team
pie
Dresser just
caps.
coming strong right now.
Okay, that's fine. You paid all of them. So, Sam, you've had a heck of a year. In the month, so in Q4 of 2019, your business had one of the most successful quarters it's ever had in its existence. And in the midst of that, you were like, let's have a baby. You timed the pregnancy in your family perfectly. And so that was incredible. What was it like? What was it like balancing being in the most hectic time for your business, the most successful time for your business is Q4? And you could tell people a little bit about Batch Nashville and what you all do. But what was it like balancing that with, oh my God, I'm going to be a father?
Yeah, well, the good thing for most people, maybe not everybody, but definitely for my wife and I, was that we knew for about 9 months that this baby was coming in December. So we could plan a little bit.
They do let you know.
They do, yeah. And so both at home and then especially at work. But for the last 7 years, I have been running a company called Batch. We're a Nashville-based gift and retail company that specializes in selling goods that are made by a lot of local small businesses. So think artisan, think handcrafted, really high quality pancake mix, cookies, candles, barbecue sauce, leather goods, you name it. And we box those up, send them all over. So of course, because a lot of people use this for gifts, Christmas holiday season is absolutely the busiest time. And so last year in 2019, we knew that our son was going to join us at some point in December. And he decided to thankfully show up on December 15th, which is absolutely kind of right in the heyday. But I think
wise ass, just like you.
That's right. Just, yeah, my birthday's 2 weeks later. And so I know let's try to pack it all in. Let's just knock out birthdays, Christmas, and we're done for the year. But I'm a big believer in that you build your network before you need it. And an example of that was the previous June, we hired a guy who ended up becoming our operations manager. And we had essentially 6 months to ramp him up to tackle that, knowing that at some point in December, maybe even sooner, that I physically could not be there to help. And even my sort of text email communication would be limited as a new dad. And so it was something that took a lot of preparation. And that's the way I think to get through things is to plan and prepare. One of the best quotes I've heard was that planning is not preparation for the work of leadership, but planning is the work of leadership. And so I think that's really a key thing, that leaders plan. And for any kind of scenario, of course, again, what we're in the middle of right now is a lot of people didn't expect, especially to the degree that a lot of business owners are experiencing right now. But as best you can, if you can do that. And I think that's true of personal matters, it's true of professional matters, both.
That sounds lovely, Sam. I'm not really a planner, though, right? And I understand what the baby gave you 9 months. I also know, based on the look on your wife's face, that you didn't get that nursery done until about November 28th. But
it got done. But there was I get done. It got done. I knew it was going to get done.
Give me a deadline. It's going to get done.
That's right. That's right. I put it on the calendar. It built crib. It was like,
for sure.
7 p.m.
So how about, I mean, that's the business side of Sam talking right now. How about I'm going to be a father? Now you have a beautiful daughter and Lindley. And now, your son Asa is in the building. Welcome to the world. But what was it like? What was it like from an emotional side? Or did you channel everything just into business? Because I can control this. Let me control this.
No, I think I was able to, and perhaps in prior years it might not have been as easy, but I was able to be there for the birth, for those early days. Absolutely. I mean, it was one of those things. I remember the Saturday, my wife went into labor, and it's one of those things. Is this labor? Is it not? What's going on? But I remember driving to the hospital and making the calls, and so making calls to Chap, our operations manager, to Rob, my co-founder, to say, hey, here's the deal. And they were excited and happy for us. And they jumped into gear doing their thing. And so the next couple of days, as we were at the hospital and then back at home, I mean, the company didn't miss a beat. Everything got out. Customers were happy. And yeah, here in the background, I'm having a baby. So thankfully it was right. It was, it worked out. I mean, it was one of those things that, it was not ideal if you were able to really plan out when somebody's going to get pregnant and have a baby. And given the nature of my company, sure, we would have a baby now in a time that's not as busy. But life happens, of course, as it does, and you can make plans around that.
Yeah, that's fair, man. I love that. On the way to the hospital, you're calling the dude at the head of packaging. You're calling your business partner. You're like, listen, we got to go. Fortunately, Nashville traffic gave you plenty of time to make those calls.
Well, and when I called Chap, our ops manager, I said, he picked up the phone. He goes, "Oh, hey, Sam, are you on your way to the warehouse?" And because I think I'd planned on going in to help a little bit that day on a Saturday. And I was like, no, I am in the car, but we're heading somewhere else, a little north of the warehouse. So it was, again, that was kind of thankfully that was also the craziest it got. It wasn't there. I was on the phone shouting delivery instructions, package delivery instructions, not baby delivery instructions through the phone. I mean, it wasn't one of those movie scenarios. It all worked.
Yeah. I love that, man. I love that. And let's also admit really quick that Chap is a name that only exists below the Mason-Dixon line. Like you're legally not allowed to name your baby that in New York.
Well, I heard this today. So his birth name is Charles. And I think he has no idea we're talking about him this much. But I heard this story today is that some of his people come from Texas. And he was named after somebody in his family who was a cowboy who went by Charles, his birth name. But because he was a cowboy and wore chaps, he was called Chap, and so the name sort of stuck as well. Go figure.
I love it. Yeah, I'm also called Chap, but it's for very different reasons. Speaking of Chap, look at these individuals who also immediately pack every single time. Ryan O'Rourke, the legend. My brother is out here. Dan Fail. Well, there we go. We got some individuals that believe in the unpacking thing. That's fine. My people would write. They just weren't prepared for that answer. So Sam, as someone who is a big planner, like you are a fairly type A individual. When you have a conversation with you're super a great conversationalist, super easy to talk to, seemingly laid back, right? You got your bourbon in your hand, you're hanging out, your beard is at varying lengths depending on your mood, and super charismatic man. But I did not know how type A you were. And so I did not, and actually I learned this when I came to your beautiful home and I opened up the refrigerator and I was like, did you think that you were going to be on an episode of Cribs today? Shout out to that old show. But I opened it up and I don't even know if it was vitamin waters. I don't even know what kind. You're going to correct me. But the specific waters that you had were lined up in like ombre color order. And it was really stunning. And I was like, oh, what's going on in here, bro? I mean, have you always been this type A?
I think so. And yeah, this makes me sound real cool. So I really love how this is opening, how this interview is opening. Because yeah, as soon as I get home from the grocery, Costco, wherever, which I enjoy grocery shopping and I enjoy putting everything away because I get to organize it. And so, yeah, that's like if something is in a some sort of holder container, so a 6-pack, like they come out of the rings and they get lined up in the beverage section of the fridge. Again, part of this pandemic we're in and cooking so much. To my wife the other night, I was like, gosh, my fridge has never been this full. Because something I go weekly to the grocery. So like, why would we have more than a week's worth of food? Like we can go again and get more stuff. And so I think that's my grocery habits, my fridge habits. But have I always been type A? Yes. And you could ask my mom and she would verify that 100%. There's a picture of me. I don't know if I'm 5 or 6 or 7, but it's like my desk in my room as a first or second grader. And I have like a pencil cup with pencils in it and everything is kind of laid out. So yeah, for whatever reason, there has been some desire or some a problem with me and having this.
No problem.
Well, I think some of it's control. I mean, let's be honest, like that's exactly what it is. I think there is a level of control that I feel comfortable with that I need. And so if I can have it and how the fridge is organized, God bless my wife. She's like, you can have that. That's fine. And so that can help me stay sane. There's some ways when obviously it doesn't work out, but I think that is part of who I've been.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. If you're watching this, are you someone who is super type A, or do you like, if I were to look in your closet, would I be able to understand what Roy G. Biv means? Like what's your underwear drawer look like? Not in contents. I'm just talking about an organization. Let's not make it weird here. It's interesting. I am the opposite of you, which is something that we've known for a while. When I was younger, I used to say that I collect collections.
Okay.
And so like if you were coming to my childhood bedroom, you would see that there was a notebook filled with stickers. And I would buy sticker sheets and unstick each sticker and just put them into this cheap notebook. It wasn't some fancy notebook. You couldn't unpeel them. If you tried to, it'd rip off the paper. So I had that. I also had my keychain collection. I also had my postcard collection. I also had my bookmark collection. I also had my pamphlets from random hotels right by the elevator collection. I also had my Matchbox cards. I had my Ren and Stimpy comics. I had my baseball cards, basketball cards, all of which that had bent corners, right? Like I collected collections, which is the opposite, I feel, of what you do.
Well, I think there are probably things I have collected. I think I've gotten to a point also where I am not afraid to let go of something, though. If something is not in a sort of Marie Kondo way, but just in a way of, hey, I'm not going to use this. Why do we have this? Do I need this? I don't wear this. And I don't either feel bad about that or so. Yeah, my I don't know the last time I bought a new article of clothing. I'm sure there's something, but that's something that is not a.
This is the last time you bought any new article of clothing?
I mean, like I think I got some like a t-shirt. I went somewhere and I got a t-shirt last year, but it's not a thing. Yeah, like I don't know what, again, like I've had this shirt, probably I wear this like every 6-7 days. Like it's just in rotation. That's what I wear. And
you're like Bart Simpson.
A little bit like that, or something with Steve Jobs. Like give me a little bit of a higher level comparison there.
Okay,
like,
excuse me.
Sure. I don't wear the same thing every day, black turtleneck jeans, but I also don't mind it. Like I wore the same thing yesterday that I wore the day before, just because I didn't go anywhere, especially right now. So
yeah. Oh yeah, right now for sure. It's interesting. I don't know how this is in your household, but in my household, we've just kind of split it up where Tina hates doing the dishes, and so I'm on dishes duty. I don't mind dishes, and Tina does laundry because I don't like doing laundry because I would do the same thing that you do, only I would not have washed it. So there's an unfortunate fun fact for you, but. It's like, it sat there for 7 days. It probably cleaned itself. Right. And so that's how that works, right? Yeah. Just like in college when I used to put checks from credit card companies and or the bills from credit card companies, like, it'll pay itself if I keep it under this stack of books.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I majored in science, Sam, so don't worry about it. But so Tina does the laundry and I do the dishes. And let me tell you, Tina's winning right now during quarantine.
What do you mean?
We're doing laundry like every 2 weeks because we're wearing like the same pajamas or whatever, and we're cooking 3 meals a day.
Yeah. So when you say you do dishes, like you rinse them and put them in the dishwasher?
I don't know. So we do use the dishwasher from time to time, but I don't know. I grew up in a household where my parents washed the dishes. Some of my favorite memories of my parents growing up was them putting on some Motown and them dancing in the kitchen while they did dishes. And it was their time. It felt like it was their time to catch up. Like, and there were times where I would feel like I would pull up a chair and just or a stool in the kitchen and just kind of watch them interact and just watch their love happen. And I didn't understand what I was seeing, but I knew I was having a good time. And so my parents do the dishes every single day, and they use the dishwasher from time to time. But it's like a once a week, maybe you're running it kind of thing. And so I don't know why. I'm the kind of guy who, while he's cooking, he's also doing the dishes. So that by the end, it's not really anything that's going in the dishwasher anyway.
Yeah, we're almost up to like twice a day running the dishwasher right now because we're cooking 3 squares, and so love it, man, love it. But of course, the dishes, they all have their place to go when they come out of the dishwasher. They have to go. Tupperware has to stack in a certain way.
That's why I think Maria here is more on my team when it comes out here versus like we got Susan out here. Shout out to Roy G. Biv for sure. But I love this one. This is a great comment right here. I'm a type A person with no stamina or follow through.
Yeah, like I did.
Yeah, for sure. That's spoken like a true parent right there. I feel like that's spoken like, shout out to you, Meredith. That's awesome, man. So here's an interesting thing that you and I have in common. You and I have both been through, it's not something that we broadcast a lot, but we have both been through a divorce. And we actually, we went through a divorce around 3 months apart from each other. And that was definitely the hardest time in my life. It sucked. It was cold. It was dark. It was a lot of shame. It was a whole bunch of stuff for me. But at the same time, my business was starting to skyrocket, right? Like my numbers were starting to climb. I was starting to talk that hockey stick that everybody talks about. I was like, here we go. And I was really excited about it. You're kind of the same way because you started Batch right around the time that we met, which was probably 7-8 years ago. And Batch started off just kind of this as a gift box service. And then all of a sudden you got this retail space in the Nashville farmers market. And then you started moving to other cities. You were in Austin, you were doing stuff in Charleston and in some other cool places. And it really started to take off right around the time that your first marriage started to deteriorate.
Yeah.
What was it like for you having so much success and watching your dreams happen in one area while watching something else completely plummet that you thought was it, that you thought like the one thing that should have been stable through that time wasn't. And what was that dichotomy like for you, man?
Man, I think for a long time, a lot of people have gotten rid of this myth of kind of work-life balance or work-life separation. And they talk about work-life integration or work-life soup or whatever. But I think at that point, I realized first and foremost that the distinction between work-life, home life, work-life, personal life, there was no blurred line. And not because two people were working in the business and always around each other and making the same decisions, but just because as an entrepreneur, a lot of times you can be putting out fires, trying to answer difficult questions, solve big problems, and then to come home and have to do that also. A lot of my journey dealt with was a journey inward, I think, through that point in time. And so I found myself in therapy consistently for the first time in my life, and knew that ultimately there was a lot of work that had to be done on myself. And to me, that was the bigger, I think, contrast was here's this company that I started that had lots of public accolades and notoriety and appearing in the press and people enjoying it and sharing it and crazy growth. It was the fourth company I've started, but had grown quicker in terms of revenue, employees, customers, vendors, every metric you want to pick. But then kind of when you got to take a deep breath from that, just looking inside and being like, geez, I've got a lot of work to do. And so thankfully I had and still have a great therapist that helps with that. And so to me, that was the sort of the bigger contrast between what life looked like at that point in time. And look, when Batch started, when it was actually founded, that coincided with the busiest point in my speaking career. And so I was not only trying to help start a fast growing company where we were really building the infrastructure as we're trying to grow this thing, but also being on the right thing. At that time, I was doing either 40 or 50 dates a year, speaking events a year. And so then you're gone. And then, you've got this key relationship that you're trying to figure out, working on your stuff. My daughter, I think, was 3 or 4 at the time. So it was anything but easy or predictable. There was no planning. Speaking of planning, there was no planning that could have prepared for that or navigated that at all. You just have to go through it.
Yeah. Yeah, I made a playlist for myself during that time, during my time that literally is called In the Fire. And that's kind of what I thought about that whole experience was like, I need to sit in this fire.
Yeah.
This cannot be something that I just dance around, that I work around, that this has to be something that I must sit in it. I made I maybe went even too far, right? Like I made a playlist that reminded me of my previous partner and like our songs. I was like, you're going to sit here and listen to these songs and you think about what you did and like figure out if it's truly right. But ultimately, for me, I also went to therapy during that time, and therapy is so powerful. In this country, we stigmatize often. In many countries, many cultures stigmatize people who go to therapy. I personally think we should stigmatize people who don't go to therapy. But still, for me, when I was going to therapy, I learned the big difference between good and bad selfish. Bad selfish is bad selfish is the kind of thing where you're doing something and it hurts somebody else. You're doing something out of power. You're doing something with disregard to other pieces of humanity, and you're doing things also with disregard of yourself and what you want. Whereas good selfish comes down to you deserve a life of happiness. You deserve the life that you want to live, right? Like we've talked about this, and I'll probably say this many times on this show, but I live my life based on what I want to be said in my eulogy. And so I was not writing a story that I was super excited about. I was living a good life. Let me not paint a picture at all. But the thing is that it was good, but I felt like I could get great. And I think sometimes that is good selfish. And it can be. I think there's some lines in there. It's how you go about it and how you obtain it. But through therapy, I really learned that I was not standing up for myself in my own life. I mean, even to my own self, I was a giant accommodator to my friends, to my family, and in my relationship. And most certainly to the dogs that we had, right? It's like if they came over and dropped the tennis ball and I was in the middle of an email, I was like, okay, I'll play, right? I was like, I even accommodated to the dogs, but they were wonderful. But still, it was so interesting. It's just so interesting what we pull out of that experience.
Sure.
And that travel, I know one thing that you and I talked about was that travel was a bit of an escape.
Oh, 100%.
That travel was time to write. That travel was time to think. I wrote a book on authenticity and vulnerability while I wasn't being that with the one person in my life I was supposed to be being that with.
Sure.
So,
but isn't it easy to write about, and I mean, speakers do this all the time, right, James? Is that it's easy to talk about what other people should be doing, or, hey, here's the best practices for anything, leadership, sales, community building, teamwork, whatever. Man, that's so easy to tell other people how to do it or what to do. It doesn't mean it's wrong, but I think, the real challenge is, but are you living that? Are you doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. I like to tell people that I'm a big pharmacist, right? I'm out here passing out the drugs, but I'm not taking them myself.
Sure.
Yeah, you should love yourself. You should take care of yourself. You should work out. You should chase your dreams. Yeah. Yeah. Right. But it's like, no, it's not for me though. No,
somebody else. Yeah. I think for me, travel was, it was something that especially as everything got busy would be the nicest word to use, but as everything from speaking to relationship to startup to parenthood was all so much being locked in a metal tube, choosing not to log onto Wi-Fi at 30,000 feet in the air was the only place to get away from it all. And so it was one of those things where walking into an airport felt more like home. And I was not cognizant of this at the time. If I had, I think that lots of things could have been different, but it wasn't until after the fact, being able to analyze a lot of this and doing a lot of that introspective work, but to be able to sit down and see Ford F and be like, I'm home. I used to watch that movie Up in the Air with George Clooney.
Oh yeah, great movie.
But I was like, God, what a happy story. This guy's awesome. And it's like, and everybody was like, dude, that guy's like the saddest guy. Like, what are you talking about? You want to be that? No, he's like so sad. If not,
you need to find sadness, right?
Right. You're not able to see that until after the fact, and you're just like, and so, and then now here, many years later, to want to be home, to enjoy the cooking and the washing the dishes is such a different place to be, but a much better place to be. even though the company's still busy, even though I do still travel a handful of times a year, there's an understanding of home that means a lot more. That's a lot deeper and resonates more with who I am.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I love that, brother. And that's a place where you and I differed a little bit because I still love the road.
Sure.
But I now have someone that I miss a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that feels it just feels a little bit different. And this is no disrespect at all to my previous partner. I mean, incredible human being, and deserving of all the love and affection and happiness in the world. And so this was all stuff that it literally was it's not you, it's me kind of thing.
Sure.
But with that being said, which is, by the way, my new favorite catch line. I know, Sam, as a fellow speaker, you like to point out what my vocal pauses are. And with that being said is my new vocal pause. I say it about 3 times a speech. So with that being said, when we got into new relationships, I know for me, when I first got into a new relationship after hurting somebody, it was so much easier for me to love Tina than it was for me to let her love me. It was just so much because I didn't feel like I deserved it having hurt somebody. And I wonder, did you feel any of that, or what was it about your wife that that you were like, nah, this is it. I can, for lack of a better phrase, love again or commit again, right?
Yeah, I think it probably wasn't as I don't want to call it an epiphany, but for you, I think, there was sort of a line of demarcation there. I think for me, it took time to understand the things that I needed and wanted in a relationship and to be able to communicate those things. I think, I mean, you talked a little bit earlier about the good selfish, bad selfish. And I think whether it was our upbringings, but I think there's a lot of overlap between you and I in wanting to help others, serve others, be kind to others, none of which on the surface are bad characteristics. But they, again, if you, like anything that's abused, then it can go too far. So for me, it took a while to be able to be vulnerable, honest, and to communicate that, again, as easily as we can communicate things on a stage or in writing. To be able to do that one-on-one in those moments, for me, just took a lot of work. And so to finally, to find a person that I could be that with, and two, for me, that was kind of the hallmark moment of realizing, like, here is a person that I can be that with.
Yeah, that's beautiful, brother. That's beautiful. Your happiness makes me happy, man. And I know it's cheesy, but you don't get the sexy not eating cheese player. So, Sam, this was so powerful, man. I'm so glad that you took the time to hang out with all of us today and to share a little bit about your story and just a little bit about your life, man, and your thoughts on it. Your wisdom is palpable. If you like Sam, give Sam a shout out in the comments or smash that like button if you like what Sam had to say here today. And if he gets enough likes, maybe I can have him back as a guest. I don't know if he'll let me back on the calendar.
It's sort of open right now, so you got to take your pick.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we ain't doing nothing right now. That's awesome. Friends, thank you so much for joining. We're going to hang out for a little bit. If you have questions for either of us, we'll hang out and we'll do a little bit of a discussion right now. If you want to throw some questions or comments about what we talked about in that chat, I'd love to hear what you have to say. And we'd love to answer some of those questions for you. Again, if you have thoughts about Sam, if you want to talk about being an entrepreneur, chasing those dreams, started 4 companies, if you want to talk about love, heartbreak, therapy, let's definitely have those conversations right now, friends. And if you are going to leave us right now, thank you so much for coming. This is Diner Talks with James. We're going to do this every single Wednesday night until I start to speak again, and which time I'll move it to another night, but at 9 o'clock Eastern time. Thanks for tuning in today, friends. I appreciate it. Let me hear some of your questions now, if you have any. For Sam. Sam, here we go. Here's a great question for you, brother.
Yeah, how did Batch get started? I started with 2 friends, and something I was talking to somebody about the other day was that I've founded, but more accurately, I've co-founded 4 different companies, and so I've never started a company just myself. and I'm a big fan of getting together a team or at least another person to start whatever you do. But in Batch's case, it was two other friends, and we were just sitting around talking about how great Nashville was. We all live here and have for some time, and especially though how many great things, local items, so local chocolate, candles, barbecue sauce, soap, cookies, how great they were, but how hard it was to find them because you had to be at the right coffee shop or at the right fair or festival. And so wouldn't it be great if somebody could source and consolidate and ship out all of that? And so we started with just a subscription box idea, start small. So that way, if nobody really was into it, we wouldn't have spent a lot of time or too much money into something that just didn't work out. But we launched in September of 2013 with our first shipment and really grew from there. So we no longer have the subscription offering, but we source products now from about a dozen different cities where you can visit our website. Up until recently, our retail store was located in Nashville, Tennessee, but we have a whole line of gifts that people can find made from from small businesses around the U.S.
Yeah, you were impacted by those tornadoes, brother. And then obviously, I think COVID-19 came in and said, hey, tornadoes, hold my beer.
Exactly. Yeah. You can be closed for 3 days. How about let's go 3 months, buddy? Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Batch is an awesome company. I send all my thank you gifts through them.
No.
So I'm not only a hair club president.
Jim, I got a question for you, for other people, because this is sort of the latest kind of discussion, banter back and forth I'm seeing online. So this quarantine, this self-isolation, whatever you want to call it, distancing period, has gone on in most places 4, 6, some 8 weeks. And people are kind of ups and downs. And in some places are starting to reopen, some are still more strict. Anyway, with all that said, this time, the discussion, the debate between like, let's be super productive, let's learn a language, get in shape, learn to cook, read all the books, versus this is awful, I'm just going to sit here and do nothing, I hate it, I want to be able to go back out. You know, there's sort of those two extremes. And then obviously there's a healthy balance. So I'm curious where you are either on that spectrum. Does it vary by day? Are there things you're trying to do and accomplish? Clearly you're jumping into new media ventures here. So how have you tried to analyze it, especially for you in your career, even if places open up, given the fact that you speak at events that are sort of subject to legislation and other decisions beyond your control, how long you may be at home or sort of not working as you were used to? What are you and what are you and Tina even? How you doing it, man? What's up? What's up?
What are you doing? Why aren't you in the fetal position right now? That was a week ago. Anyway, yeah, it's interesting. It depends day by day. And I would say really maybe week by week. Week by week is really kind of what is how I've been handling. Right in the beginning, I was like, okay, I have a very futuristic brain, like futurist ideation. Like if you've done Strengths Quest before, like I'm very forward thinking. I'm an activator. I'm like, okay, something happened. There was a disruption. How do we pivot? Where do we go? What do we do? And so I came up with a whole bunch of ideas of things that I wanted to do right in the beginning. And then I froze once the humanity and the realization of everything hit, like a week later of like, oh, this is big. There's a lot other stuff going on here. You can't just like start selling. You can't just start putting stuff out there. You can't just start whatever. Like, bro, you gotta let this hit you a little bit. And so then I did nothing for a week and a half. And then I started to put stuff out there of like, okay, what are ways that I can help right now? Because I think you feel this too. In some ways, we have a talent, we have a gift. And when your gift serves others, you want to be able to keep doing it. And so it is hard not being able to go in front of rooms and have conversations with people. And that's just difficult because it's a way that I know that I serve and I add to this world. And so it's been up and down. But lately it's been like, okay, if I come out of this quarantine experience with nothing to show for it. I don't need a whole new manuscript. I don't need a whole new body. I don't need a whole new whatever, but like even just like some progress, right? Like if I leave this the same exact way that I came in, then that's wasted time. And one of the worst things in my life is the concept of wasted time. And so I'm throwing some stuff on the wall to see what sticks. But it's scary, especially when we think of colleges and universities, a lot of colleges and universities right now, which is where I do a lot of my speaking at. are potentially somewhere like we're not going to open up until January of 2021. Some conferences are like we're not going to do anything until February 2022. And like it's just like what does that mean for this business that we worked so hard to create? And I feel even worse for Tina because I've been in this for about 7 years on my own. Tina's just a few years in, and now she's killing it. She has blown the hell past me. So there's no woe is Tina on some front, but like she was really catching her stride right now. She's like, I am killing it. Like, hell yeah, you are. And it's so hard to have that carpet ripped out from under you with the ambiguity of no timeline. So that's how I'm trying to handle it right now, brother. And I think it's about being kind to yourself of like, if today I don't want to do something and today we're not going to do something. Yeah. I don't know who's been credited. This was not me that came up with this. Tina's said it before and then she learned it from somewhere, but we should start ending. You know how when you go to Chinese restaurants and they say that with fortune cookies, you're supposed to say everything in bed. Right. Right. Yeah. So I wish you a lot of riches in bed. I'm like, cool. Yeah. Scrooge McDuck. Let's go. But one thing that this woman was talking about was saying that you should end your shame sentences with "in a pandemic." Sure. I didn't get a lot of work today. I didn't get the work done today that I wanted to in a pandemic. I didn't finish my to-do list in a pandemic. And that's really, that was kind of a powerful phrase of just giving ourselves a little bit of grace. So yeah, dude, we got some other questions here. You want to hear some? Yeah, we got my man Seville. Here's a fun thing about Seville. Seville owns his own barbecue truck that he just opened, brother. I've been thinking about you. That he just opened up in down in Texas. My man knows how to work a smoker. So Seville, how did either of you make that jump to going full time into your entrepreneurial business? Sam, you want to take that one?
Yeah. So my first foray into entrepreneurship was actually all the way back in 2006. And at the time, again, I started it with a friend. We were working in a nonprofit, and the company, Cool People Care, was designed to connect nonprofits with recent college graduates under 30s for volunteering, donating, et cetera, to be kind of that conduit in the early days of social media. And it wasn't until we started that company that I understood what entrepreneurship was and understood it was sort of like putting on a jacket that like fits perfectly, that you never knew was in the store, was even in your closet, and you put it on and you're like, this is like hits everywhere. Because for me, the act of entrepreneurship, yes, it matters what you're doing and the actual work, but all of the other stuff, the unpredictability, the planning that's needed, the pivoting that's usually necessary, building a team, talking about it, branding it, all of those skills were things that really fit who I am. And so then to do it 3 more times, while each one was very different in terms of the people and even the business category, the discipline needed and the going from 0 to 1 was something that I really enjoyed. So, but I didn't leave. I continue to encourage folks that if you have an idea, if you want to start something, don't leave your day job or your main hustle, whatever you want to call it, until you're either ready to hurt yourself or somebody else. Number one, and then it's time to go no matter what else is going on. But then number 2, until you've got either some trajectory or somewhere you want to be. Related to our previous, what you and I just talked about, James, about this notion of productivity. I mean, now, sure, could be a great time to go start a business based on, again, what industry you're in, because look at all this time you have. For me, that may or may not be the case. Again, what the market or your market might be right now is not what it's going to be in 6 months or 6 years. So you might start something and might have some success, go for it. But I think more importantly, what you could learn right now is the discipline of entrepreneurship that you can apply one day however you want to. And the discipline of entrepreneurship is not limited to a for-profit formal business. But if you want to start a recycling group in your neighborhood, if you want to start a movie club with your buddies, those are all acts of entrepreneurship as well, of starting something. So for me, it was just a chance of let me learn these skills and then do them again and take the leaps as they came.
Yeah. I love that, brother. That's awesome. Seville, I think he nailed it. And I love the way that you put that, Sam. I wouldn't even try to be redundant with what you just said. But yeah, there's got to be a yearning in there. So follow that. And you got a passion, Seville, and you know that your product is loved. I understand the risk and I understand the fear behind it. But that's exactly why I'm doing this show. I've had this show in my brain for 6 years. And it took this pandemic for me to be like, all right, screw it. Let's try it. Yeah. And it was just like, I don't know. There's just something about this moment right now. Also for me, that feels like when life does get back to whatever normal looks like, that's like, it's almost like Groundhog's Day right now. Where it's like, this is like, I tried that during the pandemic. it's like a get out of jail free card. Don't be creepy, people. But still, don't be sliding in these DMs. We got we got 2 questions that are related, and I think they are. Our man Antonio Neves says, "What book does Sam Davidson recommend out of all those books behind him, and why?" Which is related to my buddy Brendan's question, which is, "What are the best leadership book you've read or listened to?" Now, I don't know if those are all leadership books behind you, so that you may have 2 different answers to these questions, Sam. But what do you got, brother?
Yeah, I'll answer one. I'll let you answer, then I'll come back for the next. I'm gonna go pull some props. We'll show them on camera.
Oh wow, this is good. It's like Carrot Top.
But exactly, but for Antonio Neves, aka Antonio Neves, if you've read Chasing the Bright Side, then I would say that he should know that. I forget the quote, but the value of a man's library is not in the books that he has read, but in the books he has not read. And so part of me is excited about the books behind me that I've yet to read. And so I'll share you some of those as well. But to also answer leeway a little bit into Brendan's question, a great practical leadership book is called Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. Much better than Starting with Why, in my opinion, in terms of actionable practicality. But my all-time favorite book is by Peter Block. It's called The Answer to How is Yes. And so he walks folks through that whenever you sort of get stuck solving a problem of, hey, how are we going to do this? He says, yes, that you go. And so it's a book of action that I highly recommend. I'll let you answer that. I'm going to pull a couple things off the shelf real quick.
Yeah, I love it. Some of my favorite leadership books are, I think, what I would say first off is probably Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. Brene Brown's is a huge inspiration of mine. It is my goal. I made it a goal to try to meet Brene Brown in 5 years. No idea how I'm going to do it. If any of you know how I can do it, let me know. But it is a goal to meet her. But Brene Brown, Daring Greatly, is really powerful. Her leadership book, Dare to Lead, is also really great as well. If you like her style, then you'll love these books. And so those are some of the ones that I would say. Other leadership books that I have read that I really appreciate. I also would agree with Leaders Eat Last for sure. I think that's a great book. I think Start with Why it's a great concept, brilliant concept. It's just a super repetitive book. But yeah, so that's what I would say for sure. I'm with you on that one, Sam. What do you got there in your hand, brother?
Yeah, I found a couple of things because my books are alphabetized by author.
Here we go.
So I found this thing. It's 50 Things Every College should know by and Mr. Neves there. Also, not just 2 rows down. It's a great book. Usually it's behind you in the video, pointed up straight up like this somewhere. I'm sure you've got it near you. And then there's a great Pay What You Can self-paced conference that's releasing this weekend by Jess Ekstrom, a friend of ours. Who also showed up in the comments earlier. But both of you are mentioned in her book as well. I'm probably the only one of the 3 who's read it. So, it's a great read and primer as well for folks. But, of the books back there, probably a fourth of them I haven't had a chance to dive into yet. But I'm looking forward to it. I'd love to read about business and entrepreneurship, but my other kind of thing, I read 1 novel a year, and then I try to read a handful of baseball-related books. So I've got 3 baseball books on the shelf that I'm looking forward to dig into since there's not baseball, at least new baseball that we can watch on TV.
Yeah. You know what I read this year is Tuesdays with Maury.
Oh.
I had never read it before. And let me tell you, you want to talk
Welcome
about
to 1998, dude.
Openly weeping while reading the book.
Sure.
Yeah, that was a great one. I also think The Alchemist is a cool little book as well. It's a quick
Great.
read,
Absolutely.
and a powerful fable. Is it a
Yep.
fable? I don't know.
I think
But
it's
yeah,
good. You know, dude, when I met you, I think early on, there was some point where I was asking about books you read, and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I thought you basically said that you didn't read that much. Would that have been the case 8 years ago?
yeah. So when my book came out, I had read as many books as I had written in the previous 5 years.
Sure. Okay.
And so then I found audiobooks, and they've helped me. I mean, I have ADHD. And so
Sure.
reading books is kind of powerful. And also because of my childhood, I was wanted my parents to play with me. And I was the youngest by far in my family. And the older brothers, they had been out of the house. And my parents had they had other things that they liked doing. They loved reading. Dad wanted to watch golf. Mom was civically engaged and loved her couch, right? And so I was like, let's play board games. Like, we hate board games. And so reading became something that I was supposed to do if I didn't want to have fun. And so there's a weird mental block around it, but audiobooks have really come through and changed the game for me.
Yeah, that was something. I remember when you said it, I was just like, I don't know about this guy. Because I think that if somebody is going to create content, then they want to be able to consume, of course. But I think also, leaders read, and a lot of people have said that, but I think it's true. I myself was able to develop. We've got a small group of buddies here in town that back when you could socialize a lot more easily, we had a monthly book club, and so we'd find a book and read it, and then and go chat about it. And so that's been cool to sort of force me to keep up that discipline. I would love to be one of those people who reads a book a week or something, but don't quite have the free time yet. But that at least keeps me going, and especially on some books that are relevant to my life and work.
Yeah, that's awesome, brother. Yeah, I've definitely since I made that comment, I realized that I needed to step it up a little bit more. So I have read. I've probably read as many books this year as more than I've read more books this year already than I've read in those previous years combined.
Yeah, that's great.
So yeah, awesome. And these are some great suggestions from my boy Rob Abramsky. So The Power of Moments is a great book. Shout out to Costco too. This podcast is it's still not a podcast. This show is sponsored by Costco. That's not true.
Hey, that'd be amazing. If you could swing that, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. So, and the last lecture is really powerful as well. I don't know about the Year of Yes. So, well, Sam, this has been awesome, brother. Thank you so much for coming through. I appreciate y'all. Y'all, if you want to stay in touch with Sam, please make sure that you do. I'll put some information about him in the post after this comes down. And also, obviously, feel free to catch us on the social medias. And it's been so special to have you, brother. Thank you so much, brother. You take care.
You bet, man. Thank you, James.
Be good. Be good. Y'all, thank you so much for tuning in to Diner Talks with James. We're going to be doing these every single week. I'm super excited about them. This was a really cool first episode. I'm feeling hella energized. If you liked it, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you loved, what you didn't love. Do you like the different views? What did you think about this setup? It's my first time using it. I would love to hear your thoughts, friends, and love to hear you recommend this to some of your friends so that we can start to have other people so we can start to encourage other people to have deep conversations with each other, because after all, our relationships, the power of depth is where we start to really hold on to each other. Where are we finding that depth with each other? That's what creates deeper moments. That's what creates deeper friendships. That's what creates richer lives. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, y'all. You take care. Be well.